Okay, what I would like to do this evening is to talk about other conferences, events and organisations that, like IATEFL, are also celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. My task this evening is to compare and contrast IATEFL with these other events and organisations that are turning 50, using a variety of different transition devices. All right, the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl celebrated its 50th incarnation in Santa Clara, California in February. Like IATEFL, it contains lots of glamour and some overhyped stars, overpriced food, a big build-up, as well as a lot of drunks roaming the streets. But as far as I know, Beyonce has yet to appear at IATEFL, and Professor David Crystal has never done the halftime show at the Super Bowl. Although if Chris Martin can do it, I don't see why not. I think Professor Crystal is much more interesting. Sorry if this picture seems a bit disrespectful. It could have been Janet Jackson. All right, the National Organization for Women. This picture shows Betty Friedan, who supposedly wrote "now" on a paper napkin at the very first meeting, and the name and the idea stuck. When the organisation began in 1966, the idea was to take action to bring women to true equal partnership with men. And you may say that the organisation has come a long way, but then we look at people like Donald Trump and the fact that women still earn just 77 cents on the dollar in the US compared to men, and hopefully it won't take another 50 years for something as basic as equal pay for equal work to become a reality. Cousin across the pond. The TESOL convention has over 6,500 attendees, while IATEFL has around 2,000. This year, TESOL took place in Baltimore, a troubled city troubled by riots and with a reputation as being tough. IATEFL is here at Birmingham, a troubled city. No, wait, let's try something else. Can you guess who these people, where they're from? Which ones are from Baltimore and which ones are from Birmingham? We've got there Edgar Allan Poe. Well, I'll tell you later who those are and where they're from. Computer Weekly also turns 50 this year, from being the world's first weekly IT newspaper in 1966 to today's multi-platform digital platform publication. Computer Weekly continues to reach millions of IT decision makers in the UK, Europe and the rest of the world. Perhaps we could say the same of IATEFL. It continues to reach millions of LT, language teaching decision makers in the UK, Europe and the rest of the world. Any Trekkies here? Yeah, it has been 50 years since the first episode of Star Trek. Similarities? Well, we could say that all descriptive grammarians at IATEFL allow us to boldly split infinitives, like all good English speakers do. On the other hand, unlike on Star Trek, we don't teach Klingon. But with the language learning and teaching abilities in this room, I'm sure we'd be able to do it really easily. However, the question would be, should we teach standard Klingon, spoken only by the Klingons themselves, or a kind of Klingon as a lingua franca, KLF, if you will? If so, then we could use it as an interplanetary language. Okay, our next one. It has been 50 years since England won the World Cup in 1966. That people, especially in England, look forward to all the time, just like IATEFL. It was certainly a joyous occasion celebrated by people all over the country, just like IATEFL. However, the World Cup only happens every 4 years, and IATEFL happens every year. So thankfully, we don't have to wait 4 years only to be disappointed and let down by overpaid celebrities who think they know everything. Wait, that came out wrong. You know what I mean. I mean the England football players. Okay. John Lennon and Yoko Ono met in 1966. The story goes that Lennon was invited to an avant-garde art event, hoping to score some sex or drugs or both, but only found Ono's artwork. At some point, Lennon wanted to hammer a nail into a piece of wood. Someone told Yoko Ono that he was rich, so she asked him for 5 shillings, and he knocked an imaginary nail into an imaginary piece of wood. That's how it all began. So, comparing or contrasting Yoko and John with IATEFL, well, you don't usually come to IATEFL hoping to score sex or drugs, or both, or do you? The Beach Boys. The Beach Boys released Good Vibrations 50 years ago. Some have said that Brian Wilson was influenced by psychedelic drugs when he wrote the song, and reading some of the books and ideas that came out of the 60s, I have to wonder whether a few at the very first IATEFL conference in 1967 presenting and writing in the same state as Brian Wilson, perhaps. Now to an organisation that was started in 1966. Here's a quote from the founder. Have a quick look at the quote and tell me please, who said this? IATEFL or the Church of Satan? Okay, I'll put you out your misery. The Church of Satan. The Church of Satan turns 50 this year. It was started in San Francisco, California, and contrary to popular belief, it's not some kind of devil-worshipping cult. The leader describes members as skeptical atheists, taking the Hebrew meaning of the word Satan, opposer, or one who questions. Now, I've seen a lot of questioning and opposing in the last couple of days, so I reckon there are probably quite a large number of Satanists here in this room, even though maybe you don't realize it, you don't know it. Okay, that brings us to, finally, IATEFL. Here we are. Happy 50th IATEFL conference to you all. Long may you, IATEFL, continue to provide a place for teachers to exchange ideas and drink free wine. IATEFL. Talking free wine, I think that's me out of time, and time to go and get me some, I hope. Good night. Thank you very much.